Alright everybody, here we go with Morrow against SjoW. These two players have been pitted against each other time and time again in so many different tournaments. Glad to see them here. We are going for our first map to be Belshire Beach Orb. What do you think of this, TVZ, man?
Well, I mean, the last TVZ we saw in Belshire was Idra versus, I believe, the Taiwanese player. I'm actually drawing a blank from his name right now, but it was an extremely exciting match. Thank you. Softball. It was an extremely exciting match. And I think this map is a lot of fun for ZVT. Those two Xenogric towers that they added definitely helped out quite a bit for the development of this map. So should be a pretty exciting game.
Yeah, definitely, and I'm looking forward to it. I think both these players are so strong in their respective fields, Terran and Zerg, of course. Let's go ahead and introduce the players. In the top left-hand corner, we have SjoW spawning as the yellow Terran. In the bottom right-hand corner, we have as the blue Zerg, Morrow. Now, SjoW recently has been on fire. I've been watching his play. He's looking so strong. His actions are so deliberate. MLG, he was running so good. He played against Bomber and went 1-2 against Bomber. I think that's one of his only one of Bomber's only losses in that entire MLG. And let me tell you, I thought he should have won 2-0 or at least 3-0. Well, it wouldn't be at least 3-0. I thought he should have lost, I thought he should have won 3-0 just because he outplayed him all 3 games, and then, well, to an extent, and then end game he just got destroyed. I think it's because of his kind of low APM.
Yeah, SjoW is a very smart player, as you said, deliberate. He makes these decisions, and clearly everything he does is just a very clear decision he's made in his mind. But as you said, he is a little bit more of a low APM player, so doesn't quite have the mechanics up against a ridiculously mechanically sound player like Bomber. So could be could explain that loss, but it's gonna be up against Morrow, going for a 16 hatchery now. We've seen a lot of Zergs starting to do that hatchery a little bit earlier and earlier. You know, doing that 15 hatch. Some Zergs even doing 14 hatch. Idra's been doing that quite a bit, so you can have that pull up even earlier to deal with the possibility of a 2 racks, for example. But Morrow not going to be doing that. Just playing extremely economically focused. Has even gotten himself back up to 17 food before throwing down that spawning pool.
Geez, that is a little bit of well, that's going to be a little bit of a problem, as 2 Rex is coming out for SjoW, and SjoW, he has a lot of distance to traverse, let's be honest, but you know what, I think because of the delayed spawning pool, he will get good equity on his investment. Just hopefully he sends a couple of SCVs alongside with this, because really this is like free, I wouldn't say free win, but a free advantage right now in this early game.
Well, interestingly enough, SjoW did not proxy that second barracks. Usually we see players on Belshire Beach due to its layout perhaps put the second barracks down at the bottom of the main, float it over, or just proxy it somewhere with this long rush distance. You know, not only is the Marine going to have to walk all the way from the main, but actually has to walk down that ramp and around the first barracks. So the placement not going to help out SjoW in terms of his timing, but he already has 3 SCVs along the way to be able to put down quite a few bunkers in front of that hatchery. But Morrow already has a spawn crawler on the way and 6 Zerglings that'll be popping out pretty soon.
Definitely, and kind of a big drone transfer. 12 drones were transferred in this entire thing, and by kind of I mean a ridiculous amount. You can see that drones are trying to go offline, attacking the Marines. The Marines are getting really good shots on all of those drones. Was it going to be enough? I'm not sure completely. The bunker is going to be canceled, and SjoW is going to have to back up. Let's go ahead and see the workers killed tab. It is 3-1, so he was able to get 3 drones out of the entire engagement. Not sure it was the best thing ever. I mean, we do see that SjoW lost a lot more in that entire engagement, but I think it's because of his bunker, so it's not nearly as much, but still, SjoW has to follow up with his attack for sure.
Yeah, I think Morrow is way ahead right now. He held that off pretty well. Pulling all those drones was so helpful. He was able to block off or prevent the full block off with those bunkers. And then target fired down the SCVs, building them. Now, SjoW, having gone for that 2 racks, you know, that command center is quite a bit later than Morrow's expansion. He is going to double gas transition out of this, but Morrow already had the drone lead, and now that he knows that 2 racks failed, it's going to be a while before SjoW is actually able to be remotely aggressive, and thus Morrow can just drone up freely. As we are seeing, he's been producing nothing but drones. He's already up to 24, soon to be 28 against the 19 SCVs of SjoW.
Yeah, what I really love about Morrow is that he did cancel that spine crawler. It's like the little tiny things that give you the advantage. He realized that, hey, I'm fine against this pressure. I don't need to worry. Let's go ahead and cancel that and get my economy rolling. And it's those little inches that add up to so much that allow you to be miles and miles ahead of your opponent. Really, really just pristine play by Morrow.
I definitely got to agree with that. So many players wouldn't have done that, but it's also very important that he actually started it so he would have it just in case the bunker is completed. And so yet again, very smart play. But the factory's already about halfway done from SjoW. Now we don't see a second factory already on the way, so it's not gonna be any type of transition like we saw in the last Belcher Beach TVZ matchup, but not gonna be any type of ridiculously fast Blue Flame Hellion. Is it possible SjoW is just going to use this to rush up to that starport tech? If you think he actually is just going to be going for the standard Marine tank style?
You know what? I'm honestly not sure what SjoW's doing. It's really, really hard to tell. I know that he's getting a little bit of a later tech lap. He could just throw down, I was just going to say starport and go straight for the medevacs, but he also could have gone siege tanks. Both of those were, pretty viable way to go about this. I do like his decision to go Marine Marauder in this case and just throw down that double, the reactored starport, because it gives you the ability to just move around the map. Again, Blue Flame Hellions are great because it gives you the mobility. This gives you the same mobility. Well, not the same. A little bit less mobility, but more ability to actually push on like thirds and to drop. It just becomes a lot more dangerous for Morrow.
Absolutely. It gives you a lot more utility against things like buildings as well. You can put more pressure on things like spine crawlers and expansions, whereas Hellions are going to be more focused on Zerglings and drones. So he might be able to use that to put on some pressure, but Stam is only about a third of the way done now, no combat shields, and he actually doesn't have any additional add-ons for this barracks. So just that one tech lab upgrading, and SjoW is actually staying just pretty low on production right now. He's actually adding on double gas very quickly at the natural, but has still not added on any additional barracks or additional factories. Now he is adding on the tech lab to that factory. You think he's going to be switching into a pretty heavy mech transition here with that double gas, or what do you think he might be using that for?
Ooh, I'm not completely sure. I don't think it's great to go mech on this map in particular, just because there's just so many ways that you can be counterattacked. It makes it extremely dangerous. So I would say that he's going to stay on bio and just transition to a very, very strong Marine tank composition and go from there. Just try to play it standard.
Now, we do see that Morrow is way ahead on Harvesters, 53-37, and he's taking his third. So if SjoW wants to get an advantage in this game, you have to do something pretty quick here, as Morrow's economy is just going to be absolutely exploding. He's going to have a ridiculous amount of production pretty soon here, but there is a Viking patrolling around towards the main of Morrow, making sure there's no overlords so that this medevac can get in here unspotted. Here it's going to come. Unfortunately, that Spire is actually in a very, very risky location. Might get sniped down here.
Oh, and here the Marines come. Stim is finished. There's the big Stim. Spine Crawler is being focused down. Actually, the drones are being targeted after the Spine Crawler. He thought he was going to go after that. Zergling's going to rush in here and kill one Marine before everything picks up. The Spire wasn't touched at all, but now SjoW knows, oh, Spire's coming up. Does he have an engineering base? I'm not even sure if he has that right now. Yes, he does. Turrets should go up immediately. He really needs to defend against this pretty hard.
Absolutely. He did manage to kill 7 drones total, though, and there's another drop at the bottom left. He might try to target fire down the hatchery. He's got the double set of Marines with the 2 medevacs, but there's too many Zerglings and mutas. It looks like Morrow will be able to clean this up, although he is losing quite a few mutas in the process.
Yeah, indeed. Although the muta loss isn't that big of a difference, I don't think, just because you just need the mutas to stop your opponent from really pushing out. So he doesn't really need a huge muta contingency. It's just whatever. I think it was an even trade when it comes down to it.
Well, yeah, what he's doing is he keeps pulling Morrow's forces all to one side. He went in for that drop yet again in the main. While he did that, got another 4 drones. So he's just doing a great job of multitasking, trying to keep Morrow on his toes. But Morrow not having any of it. He's still got amazing creep spread out in the center of the map. The third is starting to get saturated. He's got an ever-increasing muta force. But meanwhile, the third is completing for SjoW as well. So, and he does have that factory, the second factory, excuse me. So he will be able to double produce tanks. And with, actually doesn't even have siege tech started yet, despite having 700 gas right now.
Yeah, kind of a little bit of a problem for SjoW right now. He has all of his buildings really spread out all over the place too. It's kind of weird. And look at this. SjoW is actually going for the gold expansion. He's doing this off of like zero supply, to be completely honest. I'm really worried about him. He doesn't even have combat shields up. Again, medevacs are being rallied over. He does have a good amount of medevacs, but this is really, really risky. I'm not sure SjoW can actually do this safely. I think he's actually spreading himself a little bit too thin.
Absolutely. I think maybe if he did have that siege tech a little bit earlier, it might be able to hold this with those tanks, possibly with a good defensive positioning. But with the fact that he actually did forget that, might want to change up your strategy. Be like, okay, I did make a mistake, but let me go ahead and come back from it. Go take a different base, perhaps a base on the top right or something, because this just looks so wide open here. The Zergling sees it all, and there's just a bunch of Marines and unsieged tanks. So I feel like if Morrow actually attacked into this, SjoW would be in a lot of trouble, but it looks like Morrow just playing it safe for now is going to go ahead and add on that 4th base. We'll have to see if he is going to go ahead and try to be aggressive with this large number of Zerglings he just made.
I love what SjoW just did there. He just dropped and bought a lot of time for this Planetary Fortress to get up. As soon as Planetary Fortress gets up, it provides so much defense for this entire position. So SjoW just utilizing that couple of seconds, literally couple of seconds, and it makes all the difference. Now finally, oh my god, actually Zerglings and Mutas are going to swing in from the right-hand side, and I don't think SjoW knows about this. Units are not in position currently. Zergling is going to come in here and just look to see what's going on, and here the big army comes. Nope, they're going to go for this medevac on the side.
Yeah, they do spot that medevac just in the corner of the Zergling's vision, so great play by Morrow with that map control. We'll be able to prevent that from doing anything, and look at this, he's actually double expanding there, and he's taking the gold and the bottom left, so Morrow feeling very confident that SjoW has just taken a 3rd, therefore he's not going to be able to actually move out. He's going to have to desperately try to defend the 3rd and the natural at the same time against counterattacks from Morrow. So he has really good map control, can afford to just double expand, and that not only gives him a huge econ lead, but it also gives him that kind of security, knowing that even if he drops and I lose one of my bases, I'm ahead by 2 on bases right now, so I can afford to lose a base and still be in this game.
Oh, definitely, and especially with Terrans and how they work. They work very, very linearly. They want to be attacking in a straight place. Their pushes are so strong. And here we go. The big siege goes up before, but all the Zerglings are going to run in here, crushes every single one of the siege tanks. And it looks like SjoW only has a small force over on the side. The Marines are going to get splattered across. Banelings are able to connect very easily, and all of the medevacs are going to be cleaned up. Oh my gosh, SjoW got caught way out of position, being unsieged with those siege tanks, and really paid for it.
Yeah, he got caught with his pants down, man. You can't do that. It's just you can't do that in TVs. You can't leave all of your tanks unsieged. You really have to be meticulous and careful. That's why tanks are hard to use. You have to unsiege some of the back ones, leapfrog them forwards. If you like take your entire army of, what was that, like 9 siege tanks or something, leave them unsieged right in vision of Zerg creep like that, they're going to attack you. That's just, you'd have to have like a severe food disadvantage as a Zerg to not attack in that situation. It looks like Morrow's going to gear up to go for a counterattack. Meanwhile, he's actually morphing in some Banes to get ready to run into the mineral line of that gold. Actually decides against engaging into that counterattack since the entire army from SjoW is there to defend. But he's still way ahead. Now it's going to be 5 base versus just 3.
Yeah, and Morrow is in a very comfortable position. We can see that he has complete control on that right-hand side, which makes the gold expansion extremely, extremely vulnerable. He can go and push on that whenever he wants to, and it looks like he is fully maxed. So he has 7 meters on the way. They're already done, popped out, and he's going to go to mobilize, probably make a lot of Banelings and just splatter across this Planetary Fortress.
Indeed, he already used those Banelings to kill off some of the SCVs and mules there. Now he's going to use the Mutas. Unfortunately, the single turret is a little bit off to the side, but he might be able to snipe it down. He does one-shot it before the SCVs could start repairing. Now he's trying to do some damage to the Planetary. Does he get it? No, he gets it down to about a third of the HP and leaves before that Thor gets in range.
Yep, but Morrow doesn't even care. Denying that gold expansion makes just the world, and the gold expansion also doesn't offer a 6th gas, which is tough for Terran. It's not as bad, but you do lose a lot. You can't produce constant medevacs, Thors, and siege tanks off of 3 factories. Really, it's just too difficult. Now Morrow's just going to kind of flex his muscles a little bit and start engaging on his opponent, really making it feel too difficult to come back into this.
And here he comes with a big engagement. The Banelings rolling in the front. Zerglings running around as well. He's trying to get the Banelings back to the Marines, but they are kiting very well. So all the tanks and Thors go down, but all of the Marines are still alive for SjoW. But I mean, right now it's 200 food to 110. 118 Zerglings in production right now, as well as 3 Infestors. So Morrow instantly remaxing. Can afford to just throw away armies like that. And he'll be able to just come out with this huge force of ridiculous number of Zerglings as well as Mutas, and should be able to surround these Marines and take this.
Yep, the Zerglings are going to run in here. Mutas are just dealing damage directly onto the Marines. The Marines are actually doing a good job, but there's the big concave around all those Marines. It looks like it's just not going to be enough. Actually, okay, Banelings are going to get in here and deny all of these Marines from doing any more damage. Now find out the medevacs are the only thing left. They're going to get picked off on the way back to those 2 siege tanks. 2 siege tanks are going to get demolished, though, from the Mutas atop. Banelings are going to be rolling in here, and it's just going to be too much for SjoW. SjoW pushed back all the way to his natural income tab, shows only 40 SEVs to his name, and these Mutas are running amok, able to do anything he wants.
Yeah, I mean, it's 182 food to 60 right now. Just to be perfectly honest, the game is pretty much over, unfortunately, for SjoW. Just, I mean, he really can't rebuild quick enough to deal with this large of a Zerg army and this large of a Zerg economy. The number of bases that Morrow was able to secure here without taking almost any aggression from SjoW really just allowed him to overpower him, and he had the better engagements every time as well. SjoW got caught off guard without those tanks sieged up, and now he's paying the price for it. Morrow is still just repeatedly maxed. He has 9 Corruptors on the way, but actually didn't leave much food for those Broodlords with the Greater Spire on the way. Maybe he'll sacrifice some Zerglings, who knows. But SjoW is doing, I mean, he's doing a great job just trying to stay in this game, do anything he can. He's producing Thors, he's producing Marines. He was trying to take another base, I believe, but he's unfortunately been denied all of his efforts.
Yeah, it's only a matter of time before Morrow really goes to actually push in on his opponent. We can see Planetary Fortress is just noticed that, you know, it's completely barren, but he's still not going to do much with it. Now, finally, nope, the Mutas aren't going to go over there. Instead, they're going to go for the main army. SjoW doesn't even have any siege tanks. There's just a couple of Banelings, so it doesn't matter as much, but here we go. Big engagement is happening right now. Fungal growths go off. Looks like the Banelings aren't able to connect, but the fungal growths are, and that's going to do it for all of SjoW's army. He has nothing left, and still a huge contingency of units. GG goes down, and Morrow is going to win game number 1. And there you have it, Morrow flexing his muscles, showing why he's one of the top Zerg Terrans in all of Europe, probably all over the world too.
Yeah, that style looked so difficult to deal with. Not only was he just in control all game, he kept taking tons and tons of expansions, and it seemed like there was nothing nothing SjoW could do about it. Yep. Morrow had really good map control, blocked basically every drop with Mutas, and from there, what could SjoW do?
I don't know. It was really, really difficult. You know, it offers such a different style than what we saw with Idra versus Softball. Those games were played absolutely differently. SjoW was going a little bit different as well, but let's just talk about it really quick. What Morrow was doing was actually gearing his army just to crush pushes. He wasn't really looking for macro games. He's just saying, hey, I'm going to get this ultimate army composition, and I'm going to make sure that no pushes actually work. So when SjoW actually pushes out, all of a sudden he's facing an army that he really cannot defeat. Whereas Idra was just saying, I'm going to get this infinite macro, and basically you won't ever be able to keep up because I can always produce better units than you, and I can produce everything's just overall better. And it's just really, really cool to see both styles being played and both styles working so well.
I think also a lot of that game came down to the openers. SjoW started with that 2 racks, but it was a little bit later than we generally see 2 racks, and the second barracks was in that interesting position that didn't actually give it any kind of distance or rush distance advantage. And it did almost no damage, only killed 3 drones, and you know, his tech, his expansion, everything was way behind there. And that lack of any potential aggression from then on really was what allowed Morrow to drone up freely and then go take that 3rd.
Definitely, definitely. We're going to see if Morrow can close it out 2-0 or if SjoW can come back in this series. We'll be back after this short message. Don't go away.